Let's talk transfer portal. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? And I will. Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot to your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, we'll preview the Sunbelt weekend. Baseball coming up, and an appreciation. We'll say a thank you at the end. Did go to opening day yesterday in Cincinnati and going to Indianapolis today for some Sweet 16 action. So it is going to be a long day. And then we may or may not get up for Bourbon Lottery tomorrow morning. So we're probably going to do that, but so we're going to need some 5 Hour Energy is the point. Okay. I did want to go back and go over what Major Applewhite said yesterday, because we always kind of see it from our school's point of view and maybe from the player's point of view. And we always want to see it from what our school is doing, right? Who is our players, our school is doing, and who our school is losing, right? Oh, excuse me. All of those players leaving Arkansas State going to South Florida. All right. Not only did they get a couple players from the team, but they got a recruit is now going to South Florida. And it was interesting, and it is interesting to get Major Applewhite. And if you go back, and I do appreciate it, and that's where the appreciation is coming from. I did not do a lot of the talking yesterday. That was a 40-minute deal, and he did most of the talking. And I don't think it is too much to ask, to be honest. It is not the easiest thing to say, hey, coach, I'm leaving. All right. There is some point in time where the coach has to say, hey, and you probably say that at the beginning of the spring, and you probably say that at, the beginning of the fall. All right. And maybe some reminders. Hey, if you do create values for yourself, that's fantastic. And you see the discussion, right? You may not be making it in the NFL, right? It is so few people who make it in the NFL that are getting that generational type money. All right. And forget the second contract, just the first contract. And so when I'm talking about, say, a Fluff Bothwell, I have no idea what his family situation is. Maybe he got $500,000 or maybe $1 million for all I know from, Mississippi State. And he's putting his mom or parents or family in a home. I have no idea. Okay. But maybe some of these kids, and, Major Applewhite kind of outed his kicker, he's getting $100,000. All right. So I don't know if that's for the family or for himself, right? Because again, I don't know if the kicker is going to go to the pros, but all of a sudden, if you get, we'll just say it's easy number, $100,000, and you're going to pay $30,000 in taxes or whatever the case may be. Now $70,000. Okay. Well, that's a nice down payment for a home. All right. You don't need a huge house, right? $40,000, for those who don't know, that's going to be about a $200,000. That's 20% on a $200,000 home, and you're all set. All right. Closing costs, you're good. Right. Or you just rent an apartment. That's your little nest egg, and you can grow that and buy, down the road. But the point is, and I like the idea of what Major said yesterday. You can come to me, and I'll help you out. All right. I will let you know if the offer is legitimate. All right. And I appreciate what Major said yesterday. If you're having this issue and you think they're going to pull the offer and they're putting the squeeze on you, go and sign the deal. Okay. Take the money and run. Go do Steve Miller. Right. But if you tell me what your offer is, because what your agents are saying, I'll confirm it. All right. If you're leaving, you're leaving. The coaches are not going to lie to me. All right. I'll go get somebody else, but I can confirm it with the coach because either I know the coach or somebody I know knows the coach, right? I mean, it is a small fraternity. All right. And Major Applewhite has been around forever, right? He is, I mean, he's in his 40s, if not a little bit older. Well, something along those lines. I don't know how old he is, right? But he's up there. But he's been around forever, right? From his playing days to his, I don't know how old he is. Let me see that. Now I'm confused because I thought he played Major Applewhite. It'll come right up. All right. He is 46. Okay. But he's been around forever. So he knows everybody, right? He knows everybody, and everybody knows Major. Okay. And if he doesn't know somebody, he knows somebody who does know somebody. So it's not going to take very long to figure out if the offer is legit. And I think that's the important part, is to help the kid out. All right. You can go back and find out what happened with, it's Troy Amos, right? And this kid's going to be drafted in a big way. Right? Troy Amos, Ole Miss cornerback. Okay. He was all everything for the Cajuns. Going to be all Sun Belt if he wasn't as a sophomore. Went to Alabama. I don't think he played. I don't know if he even, I presume he cashed a check, but he didn't play very much. Then he went and got money at Ole Miss, and he played, and now I think he's going to be a first-round pick. But he sat on the bench because Alabama was using him as depth, and he didn't play very much. And so you have to find out what these situations are. You have some guys, we'll see where let's see what happens with the quarterback, the Cajuns quarterback, who went to Houston, Zion Chris. Now, he ended up playing because I think the starter got hurt. Not sure how much money he got, but I don't think it was nearly as much as he could have gotten. And he's not necessarily the starting job, right? And it'll be interesting to see on how all this plays out. Did have a chance to talk to my guy, Rocky Boyman. He's come on the Locked On a regular basis. Says he listens all the time during football season. It's very nice of him. Rocky is a host in Cincinnati. He does host a show in the afternoons, drive time on WLW. That's like WWL, major AM powerhouse in the Midwest. But he started, played at Notre Dame, played for the Titans and the Bengals, I think. That's how he ended up in Cincinnati. And he started out his broadcasting career doing Sunbelt games, and he's been coming on my shows for a decade. And he says nobody has any answers. Well, the first answer is you got to move the spring portal to after the championship game. Is that too much to ask? Can't we do it a week after the Final Four? Right? I don't really care if you give the coaches a breather, right? And it really is only 2 teams, right? Or 4, right? Everybody else could do it, but and now these things opened this past Monday. That's not right. Were no coaches on the committee that when this opened? We're not worried about when class starts in the spring. Come on. I'm sorry. Class starts in the fall. They can matriculate in July. They can get in, and we can worry about that later. We do, so I do appreciate what Major said, because I think the coaches can help the players. And I think it's a good way to show, some professionalism. Here's the one problem. Here is the one issue as being on the other end of it. As the employee, we're always supposed to show the professionalism part of it. It doesn't usually go both ways. That's the only problem, right? we get very little notice when we're getting out the door. If we get a better job and we don't give notice, we're frowned upon. If we work at a certain spot for an extended period of time and they say, thanks very much, and there's no notice, where's that professionalism? No. That's the only thing, right? I understand where Major's coming from. You'd like it to be both ways, but as somebody who tries to be professional, and I guess the one place I left, well, two places I left on my own, all right. I'm leaving. Here's my 2 weeks. They both let me stay for those 2 weeks. Some places don't, but there's all the other times where it was like, pack up your stuff and you're leaving right now, no matter how hard you worked and the effort that you put in, right? Because that loyalty usually is one direction. Just saying. All right, let's take a time out. Not sure there's any great Sun Belt weekend baseball matchups, but we will take a look. We'll do that after I tell you about Nissan and FanDuel. We're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with a room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. And FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs, and FanDuel makes it easier to back them with some spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, and boy, we got Houston, Purdue, and Kentucky and Tennessee in Indy tonight. That's going to be fun. There's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Why don't we check out the standings first, see where we are heading into what are we, a third weekend? Southern Miss atop the Sunbelt standings. Troy has 19 wins. Top three teams are all relatively even. Troy has 19 wins. They're 19-7. Southern Miss and Coastal are each 18-7. Southern Miss is 5-1, and they figured out the standings. Troy 4-2, Coastal Carolina 4-2, Georgia State is 4-2. Oddly enough, James Madison is 4-2 in the conference, but they're awful. They are 9-16. They do have 2 series wins in the Sun Belt, but I mean they lost to Richmond 12-4. They're not very good. They are 9-16, and we'll get to them here in a second. This is a big weekend if the Ragin Cajuns want to turn their season around in a big way. Georgia Southern 3-3, App State, Texas State, Cajuns are 3-3, Old Dominion 3-3, Marshall 2-4, Arkansas State 2-4, South Alabama, and ULM 1-5. So it's like one of the, what was it? Was it Sesame Street? One of these things don't belong, or is that an electric company? Because James Madison is like in the top half of the standings, at 4-2 in the conference, but 9-16 overall. They're actually one game ahead in the conference of Georgia Southern, but James Madison is 9-16 overall. Georgia Southern 15-9. App State swept one weekend, got swept the next. They're 500. That makes sense. We'll see if Texas State can turn things around, because I think they got swept one weekend and then did the sweeping. They're 11-13. I don't know what to make of the Cajuns. I saw Kevin Foote, the beat writer, say they lost a lot of talent. They're very young. They're a little bit banged up. We'll see if they can turn things around. All right. So when I say there's no big matchups, I basically mean Southern Miss, Troy, and Coastal ain't playing each other. Is basically it. Let me see if that is the case this weekend. All right. The Cajuns are hosting James Madison, and they're playing today at 1 p.m. There must be a reason for that, or festival or something along those lines. Is there a doubleheader tomorrow? No, they're playing. Well, they're playing very early. There must be something going on in Lafayette. They're playing 1 p.m. on Friday. Cajuns, you usually don't say this. Forget about a series win. Cajuns got to sweep JMU. All right. Chase Morgan back on the mound. I don't know if Herman is going to pitch again. He pitched against LSU. Didn't pitch very effectively, but threw enough pitches. So I don't know if he's going to come back on short rest again. That would be Wednesday, Thursday. They have to sweep them. You can't usually go into these things with that mentality, but the Cajuns need to sweep JMU. Sorry, that's what you need. You need to do. If you're JMU, you're looking not to get swept. That's what I would say. All right. Old Dominion is at App State. I guess this would be a way for App State to right the ship a little bit. Old Dominion is having a tough season. Georgia Southern and Georgia State. This is going to be interesting. This is in Atlanta. Georgia Southern did a number on App State, but they struggled in the first weekend against Coastal Carolina. And Georgia State is off to a solid season so far. So let's see. It's a good matchup. Let's see what happens in Atlanta between the Eagles and the Panthers. Southern Miss taking on South Alabama. South Alabama is struggling. 1-5 in the conference. It has not gone my guy Calvy's way. Southern Miss is atop the standings. They are one of the best teams in the conference. All right. And to start and to perpetuate rumors, we're hoping to have Christian Ostrander on the show. All right. So hopefully that will happen. All right. Coastal Carolina is at Texas State. Interesting. All right. So Coastal Carolina is on the road. Texas State played well at home. We'll see what the Bobcats can do against the high-flying Chanticleers. Troy did take it on the chin earlier on the week, but they get Marshall. That should be a win for the Trojans. And then Arkansas State taking on ULM. Opportunity for Arkansas State at home to win a series against ULM. Again, not great matchups, to be honest with you, right? And again, I'm looking at Southern Miss, Coastal, and Troy, and none of them are playing against each other. You do have Georgia Southern and Georgia State, so that's cool. All right. You do have Arkansas State taking on ULM at home. That's a series that Arkansas State should win. Troy's playing Marshall at home. They should win that. What does Coastal Carolina do on the road against Texas State? Southern Miss is at home. They should win that series against South Alabama. And again, you don't usually go into a series saying you should sweep. The Cajuns should sweep JMU. All right. Let's take a timeout. We're going to go a little bit, inside baseball, if you will, behind the scenes, and just a little bit of an appreciation. I may not talk out of both sides of my mouth, but maybe say a little bit too much. And everything that I'm going to say is an appreciation. It's not a whole lot of frustration. Not a whole lot of frustration. All right. I will do that after I tell you about 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late, watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Not only am I staying up late to watch this tournament action, I'm going to the games tonight, taking my nephew, the Samo, to the Sweet 16 in Indianapolis tonight. So it's going to be a long night, and I'm going to need my 5 Hour Energy to keep me up the next day. With longer days, I love getting outside for a hike or a run, and Tropical Burst is my go-to for a quick boost. And whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and a peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so this is just a kind of a thank you heading into the weekend. All right, so just a kind of a behind-the-scenes thing. I don't know how many Locked On guys, a few of them. I know my guy Zach Blackerby gets some players on. We're mostly not supposed to get interviews. We're supposed to react. It's our reaction, right? That's what it is. But I like getting the coaches. With the Sun Belt, you generally have access, right? And SEC guys, SEC coaches aren't coming on because they don't need to. And I appreciate the coaches who do. GJ Kinney has come on multiple times. Mike Desmo has come on multiple times. Major Applewhite has come on multiple times. I have tried endlessly to get the new coaches to come on. And I don't mind saying it is a little frustrating to see them on a different podcast. I understand that they go on their local team podcast. I certainly don't mind that, but they are going on maybe some bigger audience podcasts. And I only say a little frustrating because I've been trying to since the new guys, and including Huff at Southern Miss. So it's just a little frustrating. Not that big a deal. Life goes on, and we'll show you that as an example here in a minute. So I do appreciate all the SIDs. I try not to harass them on a regular basis because that's not going to get me anywhere. But I do remind them, and I now have a regular 8 to 5 job, if you will. So I don't have that ability to, when I was in Lafayette in 23, I could come home from the radio station, record in the middle of the day or first thing in the morning. Now I don't. Now I work 20 minutes away. I could do it at night. All right. I happen to be off yesterday and today. And next week I'm off. So I'll probably email some guys today saying, hey, I'm off Wednesday. I'm traveling Thursday morning, but I'll be available Thursday night. I'm off all day Friday. And I'll be off Saturday morning if you're around, right? I try to do it at their convenience. All right. They're not going to do it at my convenience. I'm just letting you know when I'm available. So, so hopefully we can get them. I'm trying to get as many as I can. We got about half, a little bit over half of the baseball coaches. Some I've had many times. Obviously, Mark Calvey has come on. It's great. Some have not come on that are a little bit disappointing. It is. But again, it goes on. So Monday, the point of this story is a thank you. All right. So Monday, Major Applewhite was scheduled to come on. It got pushed back a little bit. And it was going to come on later. About 50 minutes before he was coming on, I got a text from the SID. I missed the text. I got a phone call from Major. Major apologized he couldn't make it that night because he forgot something and it was too late. He doesn't have to do that. All right. 99% of the time that happens, the SID is the one stuck making the phone call or the text saying, sorry, they can't make it. 99% of the time. So I want to thank Major Applewhite. The word is professional and in this case, biting the bullet, apologizing to me basically in person on the phone. All right. And then really going out of his way, because I do ask for 20 to 25 minutes. The whole podcast is supposed to be 20, 25 minutes. Usually with the ads, with the coaches, it gets to be over 30 to 35 minutes. But if you see yesterday's, it was well over 40 minutes. But I also think it's worth it. Please go watch what we did with Major Applewhite. These guys remember everything, right? It was a roller coaster of a season for South Alabama, losing the first couple of ball games, beating the Cajuns in Lafayette, blowing a big lead to Georgia Southern, winning a bowl game that they had no business winning. It was quite the season for Major Applewhite in South Alabama, and he remembered every single game. I'm the one with a laptop in front of me having the games. He remembered it off the top of his head. So it was cool. And he talked about the portal, and he talked about a bunch of stuff. So I really appreciate that. Really didn't even get into the spring football stuff, but that's on me. So I just wanted to say thanks to Major for doing that, because it does, the SIDs are the ones who are stuck to having to say, I'm sorry that something came up, which did yesterday. I was supposed to record an episode with somebody before I went to Cincinnati. All right. It was set up by the SID, and the SID had to tell me, oops, he forgot he had something to come up. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like an hour and a half before he's supposed to come on, the SID had to cancel or had to try to postpone. And I was like, I'm going to Cincinnati. I'm sorry. And that's on the SID. The SID has to be the one to apologize. And so that puts the SID in a tough spot. Right? So that's why I appreciate all the SIDs. I really do appreciate all of them. I hope they appreciate this, right? Because, the Sun Belt doesn't get a whole lot of pub. The syndicate does well, right? Sun Belt Syndicate does a great job. The Fun Belt guys do a great job, but we're about it. Ragin Review does the Cajuns. There's a couple of JMU podcasts. Couple of each school has one or two, but overall, right? There's not a whole lot of Sun Belt pub, so hopefully they appreciate what we try to do. And it's not a gotcha stuff. We're having fun, right? To have Jared Parker, tell us a great story of, I didn't know which way to go on the Trojan walk into the locker room is a great story. Like, we did not practice going left or right off of the bus. I think that's a great story. So stuff like that. That's shows you that they're human, and we're just kind of, having get some background information, right? So we'll keep on trying is the point. Can't get them all. All right. When we do get, I'll even tell you, and I'll tell him, right? If and when we do get Charles Huff, we're not going to relive the whole what happened at Marshall. He's answered that question. I have a different question. All right. You roll the dice, right? Because if the quarterback issue doesn't solve itself, which it did, you're now the running backs coach somewhere else, right? You're not the head coach at Southern Miss. If the quarterback situation falls flat, unlike it did and you win a championship, you very well could be the running backs coach. You may not be the Southern Miss head coach. So how was that discussion with the boss of the house? That's what I want to know about, because you were really rolling the dice when you went and didn't sign the extension with Marshall. That does not happen very often, right? Usually when that thing is handed over, coaches sign. That's what I'm more interested in. Not why you didn't sign, but how that discussion went, why, we're really rolling the dice. So he'll know the question if someone tells him. And we're still trying to get new coach at App and the new coach at Marshall. So hopefully we will be patient with them and keep on rolling along. We'll see what happens with, we got an Arkansas State coaching search to go through. We'll see what happens. See if we can get the new coach there. We'll see if we can get the Phil Cunningham, new coach at ULM basketball. It's not the easiest job. We know that. See if we can get Bryant Vincent on. We've had him on a couple of times. Love his enthusiasm. Straight shooter, right? We'll ask him, he dipped his toe into moving on, and why, I think with Jacksonville State, why he decided to come back, right? I'm not sure. Probably wasn't about money, right? but why he decided to come back. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone watching, and also to thank you to Major Applewhite for making that personal phone call. It's just a nice touch that does not happen very often. Again, 99.9% of the time, it is the SID who has to make that tough text, email, phone call saying sorry they can't make it. And Major went out of his way to say, "Hey, Dave, my fault. When can we do this? You got it. Wednesday. You tell me the time." I said, "Well, I'm working. I'll be back home 6 p.m. He even texted me. He even called me. "Hey, I'm pulling in. Send me a link and we'll get this going." And he was very generous with his time up until for about 40 minutes. Right. And again, you take a look at it. It's a really good episode. Long, but a really good episode. All right. So I just wanted to say thank you to Major, and thanks to all the SIDs and the coaches who do come on and who do give me, 20 to 25 minutes of their time. It is valuable and I do appreciate it. So I thank everybody who does come on and who does watch it, and all of the feedback. All right. It usually is some very, very good feedback. Sometimes when you do a 60-second clip, and you say that Kentucky didn't play great, but they played good enough, they're like, "What's your point?" Well, go back and watch what I said. It's a 60-second clip. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday. We'll recap what happened in baseball over the weekend, and we'll see if Arkansas State has a coach come Monday. All right. You've been watching and listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day.